Coach Prime and company getting back on track in the desert last night. Colorado getting a win on the road, 27-24 over Arizona State. And there's going to be a lot said about, well, it was Arizona State. Well, it was a team with another first-year head coach. And we know Colorado's got this on the roster. And Colorado, they didn't cover and like all this. It is so difficult to win on the road in college football. I don't care what conference. I don't care if it's FCS. I don't care if it's the SEC. I don't care what it is. You win on the road in college football, that means something. You win a game, period, in college football. There's no bad wins. We say that every single Sunday here on Tell the Truth Sunday here on The Hard Count. But there is no such thing as an easy road win in college football. And last night was no exception. So we'll break it down right now and talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, our questions about Colorado going into the game, the answers we got coming out of that game. But before we get to that, make sure you're subscribed right here to this YouTube channel. College football, only college football, every single day of the week. We are live now 3 times a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Tons of content for y'all on Sunday morning as this video is coming to you from a Sunday morning session right now. So we appreciate y'all being dialed in. If you want to stay with everything involving this show, follow me on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call that, at JD Piquel. Also follow me on Instagram at JD Piquel. We appreciate y'all in advance. So, going into this game, the big question for me was, how is Colorado going to respond now? Because Colorado had all this juice coming out of those first 3 games. Hey, they beat TCU, they beat Nebraska, they beat Colorado State, like they're undefeated. All these, the good times are rolling. And it's easy when you have the good times rolling to be all about the culture and to be about the team and to buy in. Like, buy-in is easy when good things are happening. Buy-in's a lot harder when you lose 2 games in a row. And Colorado just lost to Oregon, just lost to USC. And so my big question was, okay, now you have a roster of basically transfers, right? Like you overhauled your entire roster, a ton of new players, never really played together before. How do they respond when things don't go their way? From what I saw yesterday, responded with a scrappy conference win. Responded in a game where it didn't go 100% according to plan. It wasn't just, a textbook Colorado offense goes and scores 50 and they hang however many yards on Arizona State and have their way. Like it wasn't that kind of game. They had to scratch, they had to fight, they had to claw, they had to kick a game-winning field goal. And still, Colorado continued to be impressed with the makeup of their team. Again, that points back to leadership. Deion Sanders, Shadeur Sanders, the rest of this coaching staff. You don't win a football game like this if you don't hit the reset button effectively after USC and after Oregon. And so getting a win like this, again, without Travis Hunter, I think speaks volumes to what they've done behind closed doors there in Boulder, Colorado. I don't think it's a finished product by any stretch of the imagination. Deion Sanders, by nature of his post-game press conference, he was not happy with the win yesterday. He was happy to win. He was not happy with the fashion in which they won. But even so, I'm impressed with the progression of Colorado and the response mechanism they showed yesterday, beating Arizona State in the way that they did. Now, in the way that they did it, as disappointed as Deion Sanders was with the way that it looked, I continue to be impressed with offensive coordinator Sean Lewis. I think the game plan he had was once again awesome. He called the game, again, essentially, and I hesitate to say it this way because I don't want to be overly critical of the offensive line for Colorado, but understand Sean Lewis is calling an offense with the understanding that he does not have an offensive line that's going to provide his quarterback a ton of time to throw the football, or an offensive line that's going to have a ton of juice running the football, typically. So with those things out there, those are 2 pretty big hamstrings to have if you're an offensive coordinator trying to score points consistently. Still found a way to get it done. Called a game for Shadeur Sanders that I think allowed him to play to his strengths. They gave him consistent safety valves to throw to, meaning if he got pressure, he had someone to drop the ball down to. And they played the game in space. And what I mean by that is Colorado, what we just said, they're not trying to play ground and pound. They're not trying to play with you in the trenches and impose their will physically. Got a lot of self-awareness. Hey, we have some really good skill position players. We have a quarterback that can get them the football. Let's go fast. Let's get the ball out to them in space, and let's go win that way. And that's what they did. Shadeur Sanders, for the most part, pretty efficient, right around 60% completion percentage, had a rushing touchdown, had a passing touchdown. Like, I thought he managed the game very well. He's not a game manager by any stretch, but I think he managed what Arizona State tried to throw at him really well. And Sean Lewis's game plan worked in tandem really well with how Shadeur Sanders attacked that defense. So 27 points, it's not textbook Colorado, but even so, there's something to be said for finding a way. Early on in the year, you kind of thought like, hey, Colorado, nobody had seen this offense yet. Nobody had really seen Shadeur Sanders play against Power 5 competition yet. What were they going to be once people got the book on them? Well, again, found a way. 27 points, good enough to get a win. A big-time drive at the end of the game there, too, to put their kicker in position to kick the game winner. Something to be said for finding a way. Was it 50 points? No. But 27 was all you needed to get a dub on the road. I think that's saying something. Now, defensively, the things that Colorado State put on tape against Colorado in that Week 3 game are starting to show themselves more and more. A lot of underneath passes against Colorado, putting them in space, giving them issues with being able to make plays in space with that defense for Colorado. And that showed itself, I think, a fair amount yesterday with Arizona State throwing for over 300 yards. But I think if you're Colorado today, one, you enjoy watching the tape after a win much more than after a loss. Much more fun to coach it up after a win than after a loss. The other thing is I think there's a lot of, hey, we can build on that. Hey, is that perfect? No, but hey, we can work with that. I mean, they got to the quarterback 5 times. They held Arizona State to 2 yards per carry. We can work with that. Hey, we made some plays when we had to in space. We held Arizona State 24 points. That's improvement in my mind. Was it perfect? Was it pretty? No, but it's improvement, and it's something you can take now and show to your team during the week and say, I've seen us do good things. I've seen the right way done before. Consistency now is going to be the issue. And Deion Sanders was not happy at all with the defense yesterday by nature of his postgame press conference, but I still think there's some things that you can work with and you can build upon now going forward. So let's kind of zoom out here a little bit. There is a very clear standard Deion Sanders has for his football team. 4-2, I'm sure they'll take it. The over hit if you had that in Vegas. So shout out to y'all if you had that over. But for Deion Sanders, like, he's not happy with being 4-2. He's not happy with the way this team is just getting it done week in and week out when they're able to win football games. And then the last 2 before this one, they obviously were just unhappy, period. He doesn't accept mediocrity. He said that during his post-game press conference, which I personally appreciated. But the way that Deion Sanders communicates the clear standard they have in Boulder right now, what's it going to be going forward for Colorado? I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about down the road. I'm talking about in 2 years. Because right now, I think most people would have told you, even when Colorado was 3-0, like nobody was shouting college football playoff or winning the Pac-12. Like nobody that really knew college football was pounding that drum. But this roster has been overhauled over the course of a season. And it's working. Like the way that they are able to operate with the roster that was just put together. What happens when they get another portal class in there? What happens when they start recruiting at the high school level? Like, I think those things are going to be scary for the rest of the college football landscape, and I think those things are going to happen sooner rather than later because of the proof of concept. We say it every week now, the proof of concept that Deion Sanders and Colorado have now put out there for the rest of the country. Deion Sanders can coach. Shadeur Sanders is a big reason why they've been as successful as they are this year, and the game plan they've put in place for him, and Sean Lewis, the way that he's coaching it, like this staff, they've put proof of concept out there as well. You can go to Colorado and accomplish what you want to accomplish if you're a talented playmaker or you're a talented offensive lineman, defensive lineman. Like, that's going to be, I think, the calling card for them going forward now. Can we get the big human beings to Boulder to win on the line of scrimmage? Because that'll be the difference maker. I think they'll always get the DBs. I think they'll always get the receivers. I think they'll always get the playmakers. But when they get the big bodies up front, that's when the rest of the college football world will, I think, have a little bit more notice to take of Colorado than they even do right now. But again, I don't think it'll be that long before that happens. They got the transfer portal class they did last year, primarily based on Deion Sanders being the head coach. Now you're going to have a portal class and some high school recruits to go and get because of Deion Sanders still. But you have, so far, a pretty solid product on the field in Boulder, Colorado. Proof of concept is out there. 4-2 right now, 2 wins away from a bowl game. It's a pretty easy thing in my mind to package up, sell to recruits, and say, hey, come be a part of this. Have a lot of people watch your games, come play for one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time. Live in Boulder, Colorado. Like there's a lot to pitch now if you're Deion Sanders. So all that's to say, big time win for Colorado. Yes, it was Arizona State. We're not going to be too hyperbolic about that. Hard to win on the road in college football. That's what Coach Prime and Company did yesterday. Make sure you're subscribed. College football, only college football. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Judy Pickell. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.